Hey, Norm, thanks so much for being on the show here. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. You're a living legend and an ambassador of the sport, and it's a real honor to have you today.
Oh, thank you, Tim. Nice to be here. I tell you what, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, let's go down memory lane just for a moment. In 2019, you won back to back titles. That was
Yeah.
number 39 and 40. And at number 39, when you threw your last shot, you got pretty teary eyed. What were you experiencing then, and what brought on that emotion?
Well, some winless years on that tour. I had had some success and was currently enjoying success at that point with the seniors. But, that wasn't really where my mindset was. My mindset is I want to be the best in the world, not the best over
Mm.
50. And although Storm really, really liked me bowling and I enjoyed the income, it was tough. And boy, so not having success on the regular tour for a year or two. When I say not success, I mean you're not winning, and that's what I'm used to. And so to finally break that streak and to do it against Belmo and Wes, those were my two games that day.
Yeah.
Uh, it will last forever in my mind, and I knew it. I knew it, and so it teared me up big time. In fact, just talking about it now, Tim, I'm tearing up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the very next weekend, you won another match. And as someone who's not a high rev player, seeing someone of your caliber beating the two guys who were at the top of their game at that time, that gave me hope.
Yeah, and I hear that a whole lot. There was one thing that I did say the night before the telecast with the 40th title. I said, "Don't cry. No matter what, don't cry. You look pitiful. You look pitiful anyway, but when you cry, it gets really, really bad." So I said to myself, "I don't care how I win, if I lose, whatever. There will be no tears." And so that was my only goal all day long. And I'm a ball bag. What the heck? Uh, you showed me an emotional movie, boy. I'm the first one in the room that goes for the napkin. So, and it's part of my passion, part of my not only love for the game, but my love for people and goals and achievements and things like that. Yeah, I kind of can't hide it. But that day, I said, "No more tears, please."
Yeah. If you had to pick just one thing that made you so great on the lanes for so long, what do you think that would be?
Well, there would be no one thing. You might want to categorize them, but if it was just one thing, you wouldn't be very good. Trust me on that. You have to excel and make disadvantages over time your advantage. So you take your weakest things and you make them your strengths, and then you get a lot better, a lot quicker. And so I would say, if you weren't to categorize them, well, first of all, you got to have the knowledge, or how in the world are you going to build versatility? You first have to know what you need to build, and then you have to know when to use it, when to allocate certain resources for one thing and other oh man, knowledge is everything. But then that gave me, Tim, the versatility component that was absolutely mammoth in my career and at a really good time, because there were about 20 years in there where it seemed like every day a different group had an advantage. So before that 20-year period, it was lefties have it this day, straighties have it that, yeah, the 20s, yeah, here we got that. And it was the whole week. But there was a time in there where every single day it seemed like a different group had it. A little bit more hang, a little bit more carry down. We were
Mm.
going through so many surface changes and so much oil variations. We were introducing lane machines for the first time. So there was a ton of things going on that made it versatility then became like, oh, that was my go-to.
Mm.
And then you got to say spare game. I built one of the greatest spare games ever, and I enjoyed the net effect of that. You don't win U.S. Opens without a fantastic spare game. Just look at everybody that's ever won it. And so I would never have even competed in that event for titles had I not had an exceptional spare game.
Do you ever struggle with the more knowledge that you gained about bowling that causing you to overthink because you now have something like almost like the more options you have, the more
Yeah.
difficult it is to make a choice?
Well, that's the hardest thing about it. You have to manage. The more resources you put in your bag that are usable, let's say you got 14 clubs in golf.
Mm.
Well, let's say you got 114 clubs in golf.
Right.
Now what happens? Well, that'd change a whole lot there,
Yeah.
right? So I think that was the mandate for building something. And then that's one of the reasons that I went 8 years without winning after that first title. Is I not only had to build a game that would stand the test of time, I had to build a belief in that game.
Mm.
No matter whether it was worthy of it or not, I had to build belief in that game. And then I had to build something that every morning, no matter whether I was sick, Tim, or well, or in Detroit or Tokyo, that game had to be able to play. And it's not about, you pull the time card through there and you're like, all right, I'm going to log some hours in. No, no. Every day of your life, you're going to be bowling Walter Ray, Belmo, Weber, somebody out there that you don't even know is going to have the berries. So no matter what you do, that time card doesn't exist. It's a performance level on every day. And if you don't build a game that you can trust in sickness and in health, brother, oof. And that was the hard part, is to say, look, it's one thing to be versatile. It's another thing to know how to use it and know when to use this part of the game or that part of the game. And then you had to believe it. Check this out. So let's say you say, okay, I know I need to hook the ball. The top 10 are hooking it. So I know I need to hook it. And you start hooking it, you go, all right, I got an advantage against everybody that's not hooking it. However, the guys that you're now bowling are the best hookball players ever known to man, bar none. And so now you find yourself, right, I got an advantage against this group, but I got a disadvantage against the group that really matters.
Mm.
Because this is the group that's going to win.
Right.
And now you have to put yourself in a position that you believe you can beat a Belmo or Wes Malott or somebody like Tommy Jones at the time that could really hook a ball. You had to be able to beat them when they're at their best
Mm.
and in an environment that they are the most comfortable.
What advice would you give to someone who is working towards believing in their own game? And obviously, people may look at you and think, "Well, you're Norm Duke. Of course, you believe in your game. You're Norm Duke."
Yeah,
But
everybody
you
says
weren't.
that, right?
But you weren't always Norm Duke. You had to build that. So, what practical advice could you give someone to
Yeah.
believe in their own game?
Okay, so be aware that I went 8 years without winning after my very first title. So the only reason I lasted 8 years is because I won early, and it gave me this false sense of freaking accomplishment, right? But in those 8 years, there was a whole lot of things. One of the things that I did acknowledge is I said, the more you learn about bowling, the more you learn you don't know.
Mm.
So the smarter you get, the stupider you feel. So those days that you're feeling overwhelmed, it's too much for you. And believe me, if you're learning about bowling, you're going to go, oh my God,
Yep.
I just opened up a can of worms. It's so big. It would take me decades to learn all this. It's the smarter you get, the dumber you feel. So when you feel really overwhelmed, you're getting it.
Just some basic bowling questions. If you know you're in the wrong ball, what is your thought process moving forward?
It's not necessarily about, am I in the wrong ball? It's, what's the right ball? You see, I can always be in the wrong ball because there is a best ball. Maybe that one doesn't even have holes in it. It's sitting in a truck waiting to be drilled, and you're dreaming of it. Oh, if I had this right now, I'd be railing them. Okay, we don't. Is there a wrong ball? I mean, a right ball now? No, the right ball's in there. So all of these are wrong. So I never looked at it like that. I said, what do I need to get in the position of aggression? Like, are the boomers hitting them? Are the straighties getting them? Are we in grind mode? Where are we now? Pick a tool that you can expose that advantage to the field.
Hmm.
And then build a game that once you are in that advantage, you can exploit it and you can actually turn people's head. You can be, you can be intimidating even. Not with the way you walk or the way you look, or just with the way that you chain them up and the way you can keep yourself together and the way they look at you and you go, wow, gosh, that bird dog over there, he just never stops. He just keeps at you. You know, those are the kinds of things that I wanted to build. I wanted to build something that people, when they looked at me, they went, oh boy, I can beat Duke, yes, but I got to beat him. He's not giving it to me. He is going to make me earn it. If I could put myself in that position against all the players, then at least I know I'm not gifting that advantage to somebody.
Right.
Maybe I don't expose it, but I'm not gifting it. There's a big, big thing. The difference in gifting the advantage and realizing it are so mammoth, right? It's like the difference in a stock going down and a stock going up. You know, it's double, right?
Yeah.
So I always wanted to say, never gift them anything.
You have one of the most positive outlooks on bowling of anyone that I've ever seen. Did that come naturally to you, or is that something you had to develop?
Well, I kind of had to develop because, I was on tour, Tim, at 17 years old. You're telling me I learned everything before I was 17? Heck no, I was in college. That was my college. Whoever, he was in college. I mean, we were so young, the two of us, that we became really, really good friends because everybody was at least 5, 6 years older than us. And boy, he would watch me, I would watch him. He would watch me. Now, I thought at the time, honestly, Tim, I thought the only thing that's happening here is I'm watching Pete. I'm learning a little bit of what Weber does because he was a bad, bad man at a young age, right? And later on in life, I learned that he was also watching me.
Mm,
He would say, "Oh man, Norm, the gifts that you gave me just by me being aware of what you're doing, when you're doing, how you're doing." And that was one of the things about Weber and I that was so prominent is even if we're not bowling good, we're watching. We're watching. We're not playing. We're not playing around. We're not overly high fiving and way to go. We are. Amleto, same way. You can't learn if you're not watching. You cannot see it if you don't watch. And if you're talking to somebody here, there are so many things you're missing. You're grasping this one conversation. You're not getting none of that.
mm,
So I never really wanted to sit down and just have a conversation and so to speak, enjoy the social of bowling. It wasn't social for me; it was business.
mm.
And boy, did Weber and I, we looked at it like a business. And don't come into our world and think you're going to just come in and rob my pockets without me having something to say. We looked at it like, don't you come in here and get my money. I love Pete. He's just such an awesome guy. Hi, Pete, if you're watching.
Yeah. I say on the lanes, you guys probably have totally different personalities, but off the lanes, are you guys pretty similar?
No, no. I guess we're similar in a couple of ways. Like, for instance, we both really love golfing.
Okay.
We're similar in a sense that we recognize how important fans are. We're not similar in the way we treat those fans, or we're not similar in the way that we express ourselves off the lanes. Pete's Pete,
Yeah.
and I love the guy, right? But when he's on the lanes, I don't love him. Pretty much hate him just like y'all do. Okay, that's not my way. That's his way. But I tell you what, he wouldn't be the bowler he is right now if he did it my way, and vice versa.
Mm,
You have to behave within your own capability, and you have to know yourself. And that's one of the things of advice I would tell somebody is, look, you're going to learn yourself, like it or not. You have to learn how to appeal to yourself while you're in competition. You have to be able to rise up, not fall, right?
Well, I know behind all those titles you have are tens of thousands of hours of practice that no one else ever saw. And I'm just curious, how do you structure or how do you like to structure a practice?
Right. I wasn't a league bowler. I didn't like to go and bowl regionals prior to an event in order to get right. I like to go in and say, I got way too many skills to go out and waste 2 days on one. Let's say I go and bowl a regional and you have to point five, right? Well, I'm pointing five for 2 days prior to a tournament that I may need to wheel and deal. I may need to hook and high hard, whatever the heck I needed to be sharp at all of them. So I needed to go in the bowling center and I would work on all the deficiencies that I believe that were in my repertoire. Now then, a lot of times I was building things that were brand new that had never been entered into competition. And in those things, I had to make a decision in those practice sessions. Is this ready? Is that ready? Is that not ready? Okay, let's bend that forearm before we bring it into the bag. Well, as part of the management, I could not have done if I was bowling league. Because if I'm bowling league, I'm going to have beers and I'm going to say hi and we're going to talk. If I'm going to bowl a regional, I'm going to try to win the doggone thing. And in doing so, it seemed like always that we were just too one-dimensional during those 2 days prior to something that's so important to you. So I
Mm,
like to train. Never trained more than an hour and a half. I could do 2 times a day. But after an hour and a half, and I learned this from Jimmy Connor's book, he said 2.5 hours is the maximum amount you want to practice because after that, you're just wasting your time.
mm.
In fact, you're probably going opposite because you've lost yourself mentally. You're only capable of mentally about 2.5 hours if it's straight. Well, because bowling is so hard to do for 2.5 straight hours. I would say, okay, I don't want to go in there and waste time and rest. I want to go in there and get it done. So I'd go in there for about an hour and a half. And if I didn't like what I got, then I'd come back.
That's good advice. Yeah, I found the same thing too. Yeah, 2 hours. Yeah, I'm probably starting to get really sloppy and just not the repetitiveness or the quality that what I'm doing
Right.
is no longer there, and I'm probably teaching myself bad habits now.
And then, Tim, we can then go to the gym if we want, and we can extend our investment into our capabilities, but just not in a bowling center where you're trying to groove something.
How do you see or know when the ball is too early?
Well, Plaque 10 is about the first thing I look at. That Plaque 10 will tell you a whole lot now, I'll
Yeah.
tell you that. A 4.57 will also give you a little bit of a cheat, all right? Uh, Look, entering the pins was everything. If I couldn't get the 5 into the 4.7, then I had to get the 5 strong into the 7. So I had to have one of those hits. If I didn't have one of those hits, I'm wrong. So if your 5 pin is just barely tilting over like that, you might want to change it up a little bit. Back in the day, that's all we ever did. We shot 5.7s and 8.10s. That was it. And it was stupid how many 5.7s and 8.10s you could leave in a night round. Playing sixth arrow with a blue dot or a white dot, just trying to throw it over the checker early, and it would land and then back off. And if it caught, you had a chance. But it
Mm.
never did because there was so much carry down there that once it got a certain, now it's on skid, bro. Well, the guys that were the greats back then, we're talking about 80, 81, 82, 83. The guys that were great could Wally 5.7. Oh my gosh. Dick Weber was the king of that, and probably earlier than the 80s then. But we still had that at night to where we almost felt like Dick Weber. We almost felt like Wayne Zahn going straight down and in. And look, if you couldn't figure out how to get a ball to strike when it hit the pins, you could shoot 145 and hit the pocket every dadgum time. And it was just that much about pocket splits. Well, that taught us just so much about the bowling ball's state when it entered the pins. So I always knew. I said, if that thing's rolled out, you're done. And if it gets there, I don't care if it's hooking 1.5 feet. If it gets there and it's still not in its traction, you're going to ring 10.
Mm.
One's a ring 10, one's a flat 10. And somewhere in between there is the chomes. Let's get to that.
Do you think as the tour continues to get more powerful, players more powerful, do you think, say in the next 5 or 10 years, that two-handed will be the dominant delivery?
Well, it depends on the environment, right? Like Jason Belmonte may have won 40 titles in the 70s. He wouldn't do it with two hands. He would be eliminated before he ever started. It'd be gone. Because you got to realize we were using blue dots, throwing it
He
with
wouldn't be able
one
to keep it on the
hand,
lane.
24 mile an hour, as hard as we could possibly throw it, and we still couldn't keep it off the nose. It was so bad that we would then move back to first arrow and play the carry down that we created, even though we had zero room in the front. At least, by golly, we had a little lay down in front. Well, can you imagine doing that with two hands?
Mm.
And you
Yeah.
can't ball down for me. I'm using the straightest ball in the history of mankind. So his ball would have hit the floor and done that. He would have said, okay, I got to throw it 30 feet out. He'd have thrown it 30 feet and it would have backed off for the last 20. No chance. Okay, so you say, well, what is the predominant delivery? Now, well, the environment dictates that the power wins. It's like in baseball. If you took the fence away completely, then there wouldn't be any power baseball.
Yeah.
Nobody could hit it over the guys that would catch it.
Yeah.
So it is all really about our environment. And they have got now machines that dress every lane the same. They've got this topography thing where they can they can make these things so doggone consistent now that, first of all, gives the power bowlers the advantage. Because if they can create an advantage, they have it, the whole way. The only difference with it would be non-reactive, right? Non-reactive on some certain pairs will do certain things to a lane, and reactive on these pairs. So in practice, you're kind of making them a little different now. We couldn't do that with plastics back in the day. We couldn't manipulate a condition prior to practice being over. Not even close. We couldn't even get it to dent. Well, heck, when I was out there the last 20 years, you could take a big ball, sand it up a little bit, and build something if you wanted in practice.
Hmm.
So then they kept bringing down the amount of time that we were on the floor for practice. They'd say, we don't want you to build something. We want our patterns to hold up. Well, there's another thing. Those patterns, they are, I would say, catered to the two-handers. And here's why. At the back end of a pattern, they're a tree like this.
Mhm.
95% of the back end patterns are trees. Well, that just works perfectly when the back end of your bowling ball is hitting that tree. But if you're going straight down and in, you would rather have them flat.
Mm.
You'd rather have you end at 42 feet. The whole lane ends at 42 feet, not one of these trees. And then they mound instead of a ledge. Okay, so if you ledge on the straighties, they're going to hit you. They're going to beat you to death because they're ledge. It'll be over under for the other guys. But if you mound them like this and tree them on the back, you can't beat them. There's no way you're going to beat the hook ball players. You're not going to do it. So therefore, now Tommy Jones and Bill O'Neill and guys of that nature, Wes, well, they're now tweeners.
Mm.
They're what I was when I grew up. And so you want to think about a disadvantage. A tweener has the most disadvantage of anybody alive. Can't throw it straight enough to win there, can't hook enough to win there, so you got to wait your turn. I pity those folks because it is really about, all right, if you're out and it works, if you're straight and you spare game gets there on the low scoring environment, then you got a chance to win. If you're this, you got a chance to win. Those in the middle, they got to do it with all the other skills, but not with advantage. You
Right.
see, there's the difference.
What's your opinion on string pin?
Oh boy, they better improve that a whole bunch before I'm even close. Okay, I bowled one time on the strings, and after practice, I wanted to withdraw my entry. I did not want to complete. I did not want to finish that event. I thought it was the farthest thing from bowling in the. I would have rather been out throwing the little sack things at the hole.
Cornhole.
Boy, was that a disappointment. It absolutely hurt.
Hmm.
To the point that I had to have a moment afterward and say, they can't do this. All right, so now I hear, since I've retired, that they have put a lot of effort into making this a little more demanding. So they're taking the bird dogs away there. But you still can make a 410 shooting the 10 pin. Come on, man. Until you fix that, I'm not a player on that deal. I probably would be the last or next to last person that says yes to strings. Okay, there's a few in my mind that would say, "Heck no," and I'm probably right before that. But you're a long way from getting me into that. No. And then to answer your question beforehand, Tim, no, I do not bowl anymore.
Okay.
As much as I love bowling, I don't bowl anymore because I never can meet my expectation.
Hmm.
And when your expectation is built on portions of 40 years on the PBA Tour, and now you're 60 years old, and you find yourself saying to yourself all the time, I'd say to myself, "What are you doing?
Hmm.
Where is this coming from?" And I'm talking about I'm as sharp as I've ever been in my life, and I go out there and two shots that game are out the window, and I have no idea why. That's age. It's just age. And Father Time, when it got to me, I said, I want to go out on top. And boy, I was so close there with Simo in the Masters. 58 years old, he had strike in the 10th to beat me. But that would have been one of the greatest things of my world because I said, wouldn't it be great if I could go out on top? And I mean on top, not just, you win a tournament. But I got out, I'd say, prior to people feeling sorry for me, and that was really a goal. I said, I do not want these people in the back going, "Oh, look, there's Normie. Oh, I wish he was doing better." No, heck no. I wanted to be significant until the end.
Well, I think there's value in that. A lot of players, a lot of athletes don't know when to say when, and then you end up with that kind of later year career where it just, it's not there anymore, and like you described it. So I say you definitely went out on top.
Yeah, although I wasn't as good as I was earlier, I still wasn't, donating.
Hmm.
I wasn't. People weren't feeling sorry for me. That's the big thing. Is
You won 6 titles on
it,
the PBA 50. What made you decide to leave those?
oh no, I stopped PBA 50 a year before
Okay,
the
okay.
kid tour. The reason only, Tim, was because when the kid tour stopped and I retired, the senior tour that year was starting. So I played one less year on the seniors because when I retired, I said we're gone. And oh, what a great decision it's been. Storm has been just phenomenal. And they're like, Norm, we need you. We need you in these facilities. We don't care that you don't throw a bowling ball anymore.
Mm.
You still love the game. You're an excellent representative of the game and what people want to aspire to be. And they love having me at their events that they sponsor. And most of the time, there are either some military events or amateurs, kids, all kinds of things that I go to now that I really never have met these people. It's not like I'm going out on the tour and I see the same players every year or the same fans every year. No, these are a whole different group.
Okay.
And so I think it's a wonderful match in heaven. And I really appreciate Storm for allowing me to stay in the bowling industry without actually bowling.
Yeah.
Not many can do that.
How did you mentally prepare for tournaments?
I guess it would have to be different all the time, and depending on what decade are you talking. I mean, for 41 years I played, so I mentally prepared wrong most of the time, but I got it right some. And so I guess your question is, when you got it right, how did you do it, right? I needed to eliminate expectation. Okay, expectation is what causes you wanting to throw a chair or what causes you wanting to kick a ball return. It's what causes you to want to look somebody in the eye and go, how'd you beat me that game? That's BS right there. We ain't got no time for that.
Hmm.
So I had to say, well, what is the cause of that? I said, well, not meeting your expectation. If you have zero expectation and you go in there and you shoot 300s all day long, well, that's possible.
Hmm.
Just because you didn't have any expectation didn't mean you didn't have any skills. Your skills weren't left at home. Just stop expecting stuff. Just realize I'm going to get everything out of my game I can get, period, done.
Hmm.
And I'll worry about expectation when the day is over. That was one of the big things, is mentally eliminate expectation, but then bring your doggone tools, Norm. Don't go in there and have a preconceived notion of, boy, this pattern really plays great up 5 usually, so I got my 5-board balls and I got, get out of town here. I would go in and say, let your ball be your guide, bro. A little more carry down would do that, a little less would do this, and that is completely different than what you're doing.
Right.
So be nimble. Accept the fact that there's somebody exposing this advantage. I could watch and see. Wow, look at Travers over here, 200 over after 3 games. Almost 9 over. Well, I mean, if that doesn't tell you something, right? So I would say, be nimble, watch, and if you don't know, learn.
Hmm.
But let's put your best foot forward without expectation. I tell you what, it was better for me that way.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. There's nothing I can do that everybody in the world can't do. I can't dunk. I can't do 500 revs. There's nothing I can do that Darla can't do when she goes bowling today. But I'm as decorated as I am. Do you think that's because of my physical? Can't be. It can't be. You learn to throw it like me the first ball of your life. Straight up fourth arrow. So how much of it is mental? All of it.
If you're like me, you're always working to improve your game. That's why I use Lane Talk. Lane Talk lets me focus on competing while it collects all my stats. After each event, I simply go in the app and collect my scores. It's that easy. Lane Talk gives me in-depth information showing me areas I need to work on. Download now in the App Store or Google Play. Join me and take your game to the next level with Lane Talk. What is the easiest and the hardest part about bowling for you?
Travel by far is the hardest. Oh my gosh. The paddocks. Well, we used to have 2 balls. Everybody had 2 balls. Now we have 22, 32 guys. Guys have 30-some balls in the paddock area, and there's 190 of you. Now you got to walk through there. You got to work. That is our workplace. I just could not stand the fact that the bowling centers had no way of knowing that this was going to be an issue. They couldn't plan for it. So if they didn't build a tent or if they didn't bring in a big old trailer or something, then we suffered in some regard. And a lot of places know, like Reno, Nevada. We're going to have plenty of places in Reno to put our stuff when we're at the National Bowling Stadium. So that really wasn't an issue in that one, but for the most part, it was. I didn't enjoy the paddocks very well. The travel it would get to you. Delays. Delays cost you money. They cost you time. They cost you the time on the floor. They cost you everything. So delays was part of travel, and oh, we hate that. Whether you're driving and you get caught in snow, or whether you're flying and you miss your layover. Um, the thumb, because I'm a one-handed bowler, Tim. Blisters on your thumb is no good. I'm telling you what. Now, those 8 years that I didn't win, my biggest problem, honestly, is I'd get to the fourth day, and my thumb was so tore up,
Mhm.
I couldn't hold it. I couldn't feel it because I'm on 8 aspirin, and if I don't take 8 aspirin, I can't even get it in there. I mean, it was just that bad, and I had to learn over time. Wow, how do I throw it this many different ways with one thumb? Because no matter how I throw it, it's going to hurt in a different spot. Oh my God, did it ever hurt? And so I learned how to manage that at best, but before learning how to manage it, it was just torture. So thumb and finger pain, any kind of
Yeah.
pain in your hand, I didn't
Yeah.
like that.
What did you do to overcome the thumb?
Grinch your teeth, sell the head pin, miss spares. You didn't overcome it. I mean, it is a scenario where you really rely on something that you're used to and what you built, and you're not used to this. You can't recreate this. It just hurts that bad. And you want to say timeout, can we come in, just let us come in tomorrow night and start. Yeah, well, no, you got to do it right now. And oh boy. So when I watch Belmo and Simon and all them throw with two hands, I go, you guys are missing the worst part of bowling you ever, and that's thumping. I don't wish it on them, but I wish they knew what it felt like, just so they could go,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
How tight do you like your thumb hole? Like what feels right
No,
to
not
you?
very tight at all. No,
Okay.
pretty loose,
Okay.
pretty loose.
But not so loose, I guess, that you had to squeeze it, but it was
Yeah, it had to be perfect.
okay.
Because if it's not perfect, you either got to squeeze it or you can't get out of it, right? So if it wasn't perfect, that was one of the things that drove me mad too. Is when I used cork, there was about 15 years right in the middle of when I was at my best. That the company that I used on the cork, they stopped making them. I couldn't get them anymore, so I started using these other cork, and they would slide up. Every 2, 3 shots, I had to drop the doggone cork, otherwise I'm hanging off the top. And I just thought they were the same. I mean, they felt the same. I just said, why is my cork? So I always thought it was Florida, because when it really started getting bad was about the 95 when I moved here. And I said, this has got to be the heat. So I started putting my balls in the rooms. Now I started this. What it was the style of cork. Once I found the master corks and got them back, they would hold. And then we got the interchangeable thumbs, which means now I don't have to work a ball out to fit perfectly every time. Because working a ball out for me, everybody thought I was just a bevel and go. No, I worked it out a lot. I just had very little bevel. And it would take so long, it would tire me out. I mean, you're in there grinding like this for 30 minutes. Now you got to go and throw it, and you've already gotten 4 hours of bowling in earlier. It was taxing. So there was a lot of things that improved those last 5 years. And one of them was the interchangeable thumbs for me. That's just a game changer for the guys who put their thumb in.
Yeah, I switched just recently, I guess last year I switched over to interchangeable thumb. And that's one of the best decisions I've ever made because I got tired of you go to change balls and suddenly that one's got more tape in it because I used it last time and you need more tape. And so now I'm having to take tape out and redo it real quick and try to make it feel the same way. And now you pop thumb out, put thumb in, it all feels the same.
It was that way for me for 35 years, Tim, to where, sometimes you look at a ball and you go, yeah, I need that one. Problem is, I can't get out of it. And if I go to that and it's exactly what I think it is, I'm going to be in that ball's going to be with me back here in the set area, and I'm going to do this for the next 4 games. So a lot of times you look at it and go, you're not ready yet. You're just not ready yet. I treat it like it wasn't drilled.
Yeah. What was your strategy for when you got lost on the lanes? When what you were doing wasn't working and you're trying to figure out what was the right choice?
Yeah. I would just say, find it, dude.
Hmm.
I would just look around and go, I know you're lost. Find it. Fix it. I got no time for this. And once I asked myself to fix it, it typically came to me as I glared. This, that, wow, totals, this is what I'm going to do.
Hmm.
So the fact that I was defiant and, I never threw my hands up and said, well, I guess it's not my day. Oh,
Mm.
that to me is the weakest person on earth. And there's so many of them that will do it. Well, on my day, what's the third frame of the first game? My gosh, you already yeah. That's weak. Okay. That's
Yeah.
weakness. And when I see that, I get stronger. And when they see that from me, they will get stronger. I'm not doing that for them. Uh, Fix it. And that's just it. Once I said fix it and started looking around, it was like the Lord came down and go, okay, my boy wants to fix this. So it helped me out a little bit. But if I was throwing my hands up and go, well, nothing's working today, well, then you're not going to get any help from nobody.
What did you have to sacrifice to have the success you had?
Family, family by far. I mean, my family and we have such a great relationship. Uh, but when you're gone that much, they have a routine that doesn't include you.
Hmm.
It's their routine while you're on the road. Part of that routine is they look and find out how you're doing. They may watch a little snippet here. Their routine has a lot of different things, good and bad, right? Well, once my wife told me, and it crushed me, and she didn't mean to crush me. She didn't mean it this way, but she said, when I got home once, I said, what's up? And she said, well, you're disruptive to our routine. And that blew me away because I didn't understand that I thought that all of those times that I'm out there, all of those days that I'm out there, they weren't just for me. They were for all of us.
Hmm.
And then when I came home and I'm a disruption, now I don't want to be on the road. They don't want me home.
Hmm.
So I didn't feel like I had a place that I was comfortable,
Hmm.
right? This was all pressure, all this, all risk, all expenses, all loneliness, all snow. Remember,
Yeah.
we chased the snow.
Yeah.
And then I'd come home. You're disruptive to our routine. Oh my gosh. Well, she was being honest, and I had to figure that out. I mean, that was midway through our marriage, and I really took it personal.
Hmm.
And then it didn't take long. A couple of days later, I went, Norm, look, what she's saying is that you're just disruptive, not that you're hated or that you're not wanted, or it's just that you are disruptive. So find ways that you can disrupt their routine less and we'll all get along better. And so, family is definitely the biggest
Hmm.
by far sacrifice next to the thumb.
Yeah. If you could go back and tell your 17-year-old self something going out on tour about life, bowling, whatever, what would you share with him?
Boy, I'd have a hard time just keeping that at one.
Hey,
But
welcome,
I
welcome to
mean, I
share
would
many.
share everything I know. I'd say, "Come here, son." But me at 17, I'd look at the old me and go, "You need to go." You got to know that you feel dumber once you get smart. You feel smart before you get dumb.
Hmm.
Right? So at 17, 18, 19, we think we know every single thing on earth, and there is nothing about the sport of bowling that I don't already know. I'm the expert. And then you get to a point where you go, oh boy, I'm learning just enough to know how stupid I really am and how much more I need to learn.
Hmm.
So my 17-year-old self would have probably looked at the old guy and go, you need to leave. What would I say though? I would say time heals all wounds, and I would say uh, always invest in your craft. Well, now, why would I say that? That's exactly what I did. I would say that just in order to get the process started sooner.
Why do you think that is that young people think they know it all? Older folks have the answer, but they
Well, I
realize how
said
much they still don't
the
know.
more you learn, you don't know.
Right.
So you don't know until you learn, right?
Yeah. What is the greatest advice you were ever given about bowling or life?
So many. Gosh, you're talking about. I was on tour for 41 years, and I had some of the most. Uh, Goodness, most of it is not advice that they gave me, but what they taught me.
Hmm.
Like Mike Albee taught me more than he'll ever know. Um, he didn't say, Norm, I got something I want to tell you. I didn't ask him a question. I just watched him. And over time, I went, wow, that's a lot better than I was giving him credit for. And to this day, I would say Mike Albee is the greatest mental game that has ever lived, bar none. And this is, of course, so let's say 80, 80, 81. I didn't know them before that. And Mike wasn't probably a great mental game bowler in the 1979, 1980 year, even though he's winning a lot. He had to learn that too. wow, was he strong. Mentally, he was strong. And so I learned more from watching and from people than I did from them actually giving me advice. Ferraro taught me immense lessons without ever saying a word. Voss was my closest friend by far for 40 years out there. And he was, see, 6 or 6.5 years older than me, Tim. So he was kind of like my big brother. He would tell me, Norm, don't wear your pants so tight, or Norm, you cut your hair, he was telling me those things that your mom would tell you, right? He was trying to groom me into a gentleman because I was 17 when I went out there, and I could care less, really. Weber and I both. So Voss taught me more than any other person. Now, what did they teach me? Just how to be a man, how to be responsible with your actions, how to plan more for good and for bad, um, and how to bowl. How to bowl.
You think that still happens on tour? Do you think there are still guys that are pouring into the younger guys coming in?
Oh yeah, people still call me.
Oh,
I mean, it's nothing for Don Barrett to call me from England and say, Norm, I got a question, man. I know you're retired, so I can ask you now. Yeah, I got a lot of people call me like that.
yeah.
Wow. That's great too, by the way.
What things do you enjoy doing off the lanes now that you're retired?
Golf. It's my number one. I love golfing. And then let's see.
I know Chris Barnes was apparently at one time a really really great miniature golf player. Did you ever
He's the national champion.
Was he really? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever
The
challenge
world.
him?
I think he was the world, maybe the world or the national champion. Yeah, but
Did you ever challenge him to a putting contest?
hell, no way. I could, no way. No, he's so far better than me in all regard with golf. He's better than me. And I enjoy playing with him because when he putts, he can putt.
Mm.
He'll leave one about 3 inches away, right on the back of the cup, and he'll be disappointed with that. I'm high fiving myself, and he's he's a pretty good athlete in a lot of regards. There's a lot of bowlers though that are like that. They're just great athletes. EJ Tackett. You want to watch him hit a golf ball. Ronnie Russell hits it past EJ. Ronnie's probably one of the best golfers we have out there right now. Randy Peterson's always been great.
What would you say your personal values are?
Treat other people like you want to be treated. Um, Expectation's a killer. Desire is not. Dedication. Hey, if I've got enough determination and enough dedication, I can do anything in this world I want to do.
Hmm.
Anything. I don't care if it's fly. I can do it if I want it bad enough. So once you get to that, now you have to do is figure out how bad do you want it. Well, I think it'd be cool as heck to fly, but I don't want it that bad because falling, man, one mistake, I'm done, right? So there's reasons why you don't do things, but I really believe that you can do anything you want to if you want it bad enough.
Hmm.
I wanted to win major championships. I wanted to win major, and I wanted it bad. And I didn't think at one point that I'd ever win another tournament, much less major championships. But if you want it bad enough, boy, you'd be surprised. So, folks out there, look, there's no easy way. There's no one thing. There's no secret. What it is dedication and determination. Dedicate yourself with your knowledge. Dedicate yourself with your physical. Dedicate yourself in your craft. And if you want it bad enough, there's nothing you really can't do in there. I do think there is a couple things, like for me to dunk a basketball, that might be a tall order. Maybe I can if I wanted it bad enough, right? I'm not going to hit a baseball 400 feet, no. But maybe if I wanted it bad enough. So yeah, certainly there are limits.
Sure.
But don't drop those limits so far that you're not completely engulfed in the goal. Which my goal was to win major championships. My goal was to be player of the year, to win the average title, things like that. I didn't say I wanted to compete. I said I want to win those things. And those are tall orders. So keep your goals and your aspirations as high as you can do. That way, if you barely miss them, you're still looking good.
In the pursuit of all those major championships, did you ever struggle at all with the fear of failure?
Everybody on earth does. Absolutely. Everybody on earth. Um, in fact, the fast forward button was one of my greatest assets. Is I said, okay, I know this is meaningful. I know how meaningful this is. It's one game tomorrow. Your hand is killing you. Somebody's going to come off the lanes that has just won a game, and it's likely going to be a left-hander, let's say. Fear of failure. Guy, you're sitting in the number one position. There's no way you can't think about what happens if I lose. So I would fast forward, and I go, all right, fast forward. Let's say you do lose. Is it going to kill you? No. Are you not going to be able to eat? No, I'll eat. Are you going to change? No. You're going to want it any less? No. So once I fast forward and said, okay, after I lose, I'll live. That was huge for me because now it eliminated much of that fear. Failure is still there, but the fear of it dropped
Mm.
because now you're not so scared of losing that you think you're going to lose your life, you know.
What is your definition of success?
Attaining that which you personally want, that's success. If it's love, if it's championships, whatever it is, if it's respect, if you attain something that you desire, then I think that's successful.
Yeah.
Um, it's not about what other people think, right?
What makes you feel most alive?
Family,
Mm.
yeah, family. My son is just so wonderful. He's 28 years old now, works for Northrop Grumman, and he can do things that I cannot do, uh, especially with a device. If he's got a device, then he's got a chance. So I call him, I ask him all kinds of things. Hey, come here and help me with this, man. I am stuck. He's like, oh, Dad, come on. Well, I love that about my kid. I really do.
Who or what has been your greatest teacher?
Voss, Voss, greatest teacher, Voss. Yeah, by far. And I took it to a new level with Brian. Okay, so he would give me these things, and I'd go, "Wow, that's just huge." But then I could take them as far as I wanted. I could take them in directions. But he taught me how to think. I mean, just the two of us, because we didn't room together, but we traveled together, and we shared a car, and we were together a lot. And we were like MacGyvers, the two of us. If there was something that we needed to be done, man, we're looking around. We're like, there's something here we can get it done with. Well, that helped me so much in the rental business. It's amazing. If I need that done, I'm going to figure it out. If I don't have a ladder, I'll grab you something, right? We're getting on that roof. So there were all kinds of things that he taught me how to think. So therefore, he taught me the most because he taught me how to think. Thank you, Brian. Love you.
And it is a big, like just what you said there, how you think about things is a major factor in whether or not you're successful or not in life and in a lot of things.
Right. And to each our own goal. Build your own goal. Make it high. If you succeed at that goal, boy, you are a success. One of my goals was to have a better family life after bowling than I did while I'm bowling. And I'm getting to now realize that that is something that's so possible. And so, therefore, I may not be a success for the day, but I am successful in that direction, right?
I guess that's a great way to look at it even too in bowling because bowling is a sport that will take you to the highest highs and the lowest lows. And if you just only live at, how you are that day, it can really crush you. But if you look at it over a course of time, you say, well, most of the time I do well. I only fail
Right.
every so often.
And plus, if you look at bowling, in a sense that 90, this is Walter Ray Williams, the best in the world. He lost 95% of all the tournaments that he bowled. Well, the last thing he ever did was lose. That's the last thing you ever do in bowling is lose unless you win, right? So 95% of the time he's losing, and the last thing he ever does is lose. So, well, how could you possibly be successful? Well, maybe Walter Ray, when he finishes fifth, is a success that week for himself. Maybe that was his goal. Um, maybe you're successful that you gained all of these different benefits, but you weren't a success in a sense that you didn't win. Okay, well, what is success and what is successful? I think you can be successful without succeeding for the day.
Mm.
I can be successful. Somebody beats me 230 to 40 in the final match. Was I successful today? Yes. Yeah, I got there. I posted. I doggone took him to the, and he beat me. Am I success? Darn right, I'm successful. Was it success? Nah, nah, not so much.
What would you say is your most prized possession?
Outside of family, and um, I have a 1995 Land Cruiser. It's worth about $2,500, and that's because it's gone up. But I bought it brand new. It had 60 miles on it, or six miles on it when I bought it, and I tell you what, I've had it since that day. That was 1995, is what it is. So for me, that's prized because when I see it, I see a truck that carried 25 balls to an event, a truck that got me here in order to be able to win something, a truck that made sure that I was at the airport on time, and one that I was comfortable in, and also one that I sat really high up in, which is huge when you're 5'6", right? So that's one of my most prized possessions. When you asked me, I just came up with that. Outside of our home, we built this in 1995 as well. So, um, you know, is it my possession? Now it's the bank's still, I guess, just because it's what is it? It's 30 years later, it's still not paid for, so it's still theirs.
Yeah.
I don't look at possessions near like I used to. Um, Heck, I used to wear jewelry as a kid. Now I wear a wedding band. Possessions for me, look, you're not taking any with you. So my guess, let me say this, my most prized possession is the relationships that I have with all of my friends, all of my fans, and all of my family. It is just immeasurable how much I appreciate every single day from those. Well, that's all the groups, right? That's all of my family, my fans, and my friends just treat me so well. That's my most prized possession.
And so I find that interesting because, some people would say, oh, my trophies are things that I've, accomplished because that's what we always strive for. We strive for these accomplishments. But at the end of the
Right.
day, it's people that really matter. And I don't remember if it was the 39th or 40th championship when you got your trophy, you went over to the fans that passed around.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool because, you may not have done that in your very first one. You might have been like, this one's mine. I'm going to take it home and shine it. But when you'd had that many, it's like the people are really what matter.
And you know that trophy is still in that bowling center?
Yeah.
It sits way atop as you're checking in. It sits up top, rental shoes. It's got all kinds of stuff back there, but that trophy's right there. And oh man, Jonesboro, Arkansas, if you're ever there, yeah, that trophy never left the building. And I just put number 40 on it. I didn't know that was going to be the last, but I knew that it was pretty significant to win back to back, and put it up. Well, I gave it to her, and she put it up there.
Nice.
We love them in Jonesboro. I'll never forget that day or that week.
Well, final question. What is your favorite bowling memory?
Ooh, bowling memory. First thing that stands out is the day I could drive a car without a six pack of Dr. Peppers to sit on. For a while, it was a struggle. We didn't have the up and down. You had the forward backward, but I needed the up and down thing. Favorite bowling memory? I have many, so many. That last one where Wes Malott picked me up at the league
Mm.
and showed me the love that, oh boy, can't even do this. As a partner and as a competitor. See, he was Philadelphia and I was Dallas, so we were competitors, but we just bowled the doubles not 3 months, 2 months beforehand. The look on his face that he gave me and the appreciation and the love, my gosh, that was one of the kindest moments in my entire life. I once won 3 majors in a row, and after you do that, my gosh, that's immortality. How can you not put that up there? I once spared a bucket to win a U.S. Open. Holy cow! You just look at my reaction after I spared that, and this guy was jacked up right there. And then there was a lot of them that are losses. A lot of them are losses. That two-pin against Robert Smith in the U.S. Open, I think it was 2000 maybe, where Robert Smith won the U.S. Open there. Uh, I've thrown that shot 1,000 times. The last shot against Simo, I said, look, if you can double here, I think you can win this tournament. And I left a 10 pin, and it wasn't that great. You know, I've thrown that one 1,000 times. So, you know, when you say favorite moment, some of your favorites are the ones that you hate. Why are they favorites? Because they're the ones that you live every day. You live more of those. So how can it not be a favorite of yours? The
Well,
outcome for the moment wasn't as good. But
right.
the moment itself,
Yeah.
massive. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Norm, it's been an absolute pleasure having this time to speak with you and hear your advice and stories and wisdom. It's been really great.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And to all you fans out there, man, just go bowling, put your expectations back, and then realize what you're doing. You are training at a game. Make it fun.
Well, thanks so much again. I really appreciate it.